Hi there, welcome to a special edition of the 10-minute moan, and as you can tell I'm in my car. I'm currently on the A6 heading across country from just sort of Penrith to pick up the A1 M1 at Scotch Corner, and I'm on my way to Dover. And what am I going to do there? Well, those who watch the channel regularly will be aware last week I jumped on a plane and I went to Ballymena because I'd seen so much different reporting on that situation with a very broad spectrum of views on that situation, and I wanted to see it for myself and get a feel for the place and report it to those who follow my channel. So that's what I've done, and I loved it. It was a horrific thing because it was, and again the thing that people keep forgetting about that story is because 3 young girls were victims of CSA. Alleged victims, I must say at this point, because nobody's been to court. However, and there's been a reaction, and we kind of forget that when we're reporting, because the reporting becomes what happens after that, and you're racist and you're a bigot and all that for questioning what's going on in that area. So that was the inspiration for it. The Ballymena, it was a great trip. I made some great contacts when I was out there. I went off the cuff. I booked the flight 2:30 in the morning and was there by lunchtime the next day, just after. So that's kind of why I'm heading to Dover. What I want to do in Dover is I want to see from my own eyes what's going on. You hear two different sides of each story all the time, but Britain being Britain, and politically when you have different opinions they have to be polar. You kind of don't have any middle ground. And although I do have my own ideas on immigration, and I think what's going on in Dover, I'm not going down here with any preconceived ideas. I'm going to try and clear my mind and play this with a straight bat. What I aim to do, I aim to speak to people, local people who have had maybe disruptions or whatever. They might have good stories about people arriving in the boats into their area. I'm keen to do that. I want to talk to possibly local activists, and I certainly want to talk to people who have come off the boats and why they're doing it, and try and show a balance to the whole situation. So I'm heading down to Dover just now. I'll be there this evening. I'm not going to go to Dover tonight. I'm going to be a wee bit away from Dover, but I'll get there early doors tomorrow morning and get myself all prepared tonight. I'll probably get into a hotel about 9:30 according to the sat nav, and I will get all my equipment checked, get everything ready to go. Bought some new cameras. Hopefully I've got one that's a body camera. I've got my phone, I've got my own normal cameras as well. So get all that just set up and head out there and just see what's going on. And I think it's important that we do this, because the mainstream will obviously, each individual outlet will have their own agenda, their own perception, the story that they want to tell. But me being totally independent and having no paymaster to answer to, I can tell it straight, and that's what I plan to do. And I kind of, as I say, I want to play this with a straight bat. I'm going to be as open as possible. If I get to interview somebody and they don't give me the answers I'm expecting, then I'll still put that out, because I think the integrity of the story is more important than my opinions just now. And like when I went to Ballymena, I went over there just seeing what everybody else seen, and I was hopefully able to give people a voice who have not had a voice. So if we get some people in front of a camera, if I hear some stories that maybe people wouldn't expect me to report on, then it's only fair, my integrity is intact, I tell those stories as well. So who knows what the next couple of days will bring, but I'm looking forward to it. I kind of wish I'd done this sooner. I genuinely do. It's really energised me going to Ballymena. What I learnt over there, the people I spoke to, the response since I went to Ballymena has been absolutely incredible. So I'm really enthused to do this again. I've got another trip which someone's offered me, which will be going abroad. I don't know when I can do that, but I'll be doing that hopefully in the non-too-distant future. Certainly I would hope to do that this summer before autumn comes. And I'm keen that every week, if there's stories, you know, that are maybe not getting portrayed right, I mean, we're not sure if they're getting portrayed right, then, you know, I'll jump the car and go and cover them. And I think this is a new sort of a new sort of string to the bow, as it were. Just get out there, pick up your camera, go and talk to people, share the stories with the nation, good and bad. And, you know, I was talking to somebody about it today, that why did I not do this sooner? Ballymena has really changed my thinking on what I do. Up until this point, I've been a guy that sat in the house and moaned for 10 minutes a couple of times a day. And I'll still do that because there's people that enjoy that and I enjoy it. But just getting out there and instead of reporting on the reporting of a story, get out there and just find out the truth. Yeah, I've done a bit of investigative stuff before, but it's been from the confines of my own armchair. Doing the internet, doing freedom of informations, etc. But see this getting on the ground, there is nothing better than getting into communities and actually talking to people. Now, they don't all come in camera, as I found out when I was in Ballymena. And that's fine. I went to a protest on Friday in Edinburgh, and not everybody I spoke to wanted to come on camera. And I understand that. I totally respect that. But when you're there, it's not just the stuff when you're hit record that you get to learn and pass on information. I can report on these other people's stories for them. So that's kind of where I'm at. Who knows where this journey will take me? Who knows where I'll end up this week? But, you know, never mind, you know, in another 2 to 6 months of this channel and this new thing that I've got this drive and passion for. So who knows where it'll take me? As I say, I'm going to Dover just now. Do some coverage there over the next day or two. And then, you know, I've got another foreign trip, which was a great offer. Somebody came to me and said, do you fancy going here? And it's a mind-blowing trip. It'll be absolutely fantastic. But, you know, if we rewound the clock to 12 months ago, if I'd started this 12 months ago, the type of thing I would have done is I'd have jumped in the car and went to Southport. I would have jumped in the car and went to Hare Hills and Leeds when there was, you know, disturbances there. I would jump in the car and go to the hills of the world where we've seen things happening last summer. And, you know, I don't want these things to happen. No, coming up to a single track, and behind a tractor, let me get past him. There we go, safely past a wee convoy of tractors. We're now doing a single lane on the 66. Yeah, I'm keen to just get out there and do more of this. So I would prefer there was no stories to cover, if I'm perfectly honest with you, up and down the lengths of breadth of the United Kingdom over this summer. But if there is, let's go. Let's do it. Let's just jump the car, jump an aeroplane, jump a train, whatever it takes. Just go and do it. And one thing I need to say, I need to thank the people who have contributed to the trip to Ballymena, whereby donations to the channel and people who had before taken out membership for the channel have actually covered my costs, all bar about 10 quid of the Ballymena trip. So, you know, thank you very much for that. And it's given me the confidence to do more. So if you guys didn't support the channel, if you guys didn't hit your super thanks and take out memberships and all these things, then I would have to rely on other incomes that I would need to go and try to get to cover these things. So massive thank you to everybody who has helped me, allow me and give me the opportunity financially to do these things. So thanks very much. If you enjoyed this video, thumbs up. If you want to see what I'm going to be up to in the next few days, hit the subscribe and click the notification button, the little bell, and YouTube will tell you when I've got some new stuff coming out. But I've got some fantastic things to get up to in Dover already planned. I've got something up my cuff to do after Dover this week, which I'll cover more about after I've been to Dover. So I've got a follow-up to Dover. I've got another story to do after I've done Dover this week. So while I'm down here, I thought I may as well take benefit of the fact I'm going to be 500 miles away from home, other things that are close by. So I've got something else up my cuff to report on while I'm down here. And you guys have been great, and I promise you, some of the stuff that I'm going to be doing over this week between now and Friday, I'm going to try and get back up the road for Friday, if that's all right, folks. Right? I'm sure you'll enjoy it. So if you've not already done so, hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell, and most important of all, as long as you're not the type of person that doesn't share the truth and the true stories on stuff that's going on across the whole United Kingdom, then not you, but everyone else. Have a great day. Cheery bye now. Hi there, folks. Welcome to the road trip. Just left the hotel. I'm about 12 miles away from Dover. I'll be there just after 7:30 in the morning. And I don't know what I'm going to find. I don't know what to expect. I'm trying to keep an open mind. I'm going to head down to the lifeboat station just to see if there's any activity there. And as normal people get about their business a wee bit later on this morning, I hope to get the feedback from the locals there to see what's happened in their community over the last few years that the small boats have been arriving, see how it's affected them in their day-to-day living, and see if I can find some small boat people. Stay tuned. Hi there. Now, that's me being into Dover for the first day. Arrived there just before 8 o'clock and I left just after 2. The reason I left so early was twofold. One, I kind of lost my mind last night when I had a long travel down. I thought I'd get to sleep quite easy. It's, loads of things, what am I going to do, who am I going to see, whatever. So I only had maybe about 3 hours sleep, if I'm honest with you. So I'm physically shattered, but I must admit, emotionally burnt out. What I seen in those few hours was absolutely bonkers, and I've not done half the stuff that I thought I would do today. So I'll try and get that done and finished tomorrow in Dover. But the first thing I done, I had seen videos before of the the lifeboats. So I found in the map where the lifeboat pier was in the harbour, and I set off there because I thought they are going to be where they bring the boat people. And it looked to me, I'd seen a photograph of the area before, and there was 3 RNLI boats, and there was only 2 in the harbour at that time. So I thought, well, one must be out already. So I took some footage, show you some of that just now. Beautiful place, stunning. So then I noticed I had accidentally parked in the car park, set aside for a lifeboat personnel. There was only one there. And not long after I arrived, they started arriving, and I moved obviously, I moved the car. And I then saw what I thought was 4 police officers. But it turned out, when I saw them again walking underneath me, because they went down to the pier and walked back in themselves, and the helmets said Border Force. So they weren't police, they were Border Force. There was 4 of them. And they went along to in the normal part of the marina where people have their yachts and their fun boats, and they get into I think they call them a rigid-bodied, so to speak, inflatable, right? And off they popped. I thought, I wonder why they're doing that, because any footage we see when they bring the boat people in to harbour, they're in bigger boats, like normal lifeboats, not like. So as I was, sort of confused and wondering what to do next, there was a man that I started chatting to, and unfortunately, but I totally respect his reasons, he explained to me the reasons why he went on camera, which totally respectful of. But I had a nice chat with this guy. And he was a great guy. And he works there. And he's a very knowledgeable seaman. And some of the stuff he told me just blew my mind. Absolutely blew my mind. And then, about half an hour later, he gave me a pointer of where to go to watch the boats arrive. Boy. Where I thought the Royal Navy lifeboats would normally come in, they don't anymore. And he explained to me what happened and what with the whole RNLI thing. Now, back when this started, years ago, pre-COVID, like the beach I'm at here just now, just turn the camera. This is kind of where, right along the coast, the small boats would come in. And the residents were kind of unhappy with that. So the RNLI, they started helping to police it, for want of a better word. So rather than them turning up on beaches like this and end up in towns, I've came a wee 10-mile drive, by the way, at Dover just to sort of settle my head, because my head was mush, to be honest with you. So what they started doing was, they started getting them out in the middle of the channel and bring them in so they could control what was happening. And they were dropping them at the RNLI base that I was at to start with. However, what happened next was RNLI rely on donations from the public, and the public weren't happy with this, with what they were doing with the migrants. And their donations vastly reduced. So what they'd done, they then moved along to the next bit of the harbour, which is more protected. It's not as easy for access, public can't get near it. And then they switched over for the border force now, dealing with the boat people. And as you'll see with the footage, the guy that I spoke to first gave me directions, told me how to get there, and told me that he'd intelligence to suggest there was a boat on its way in. He was also kind enough to show me his maritime maps online and explain to me where there's a sort of a sandbank. It's underneath the water level, but sandbank. One of them's in France, one of them's technically the UK. So the French take them to there and protect them when they're getting them there. If they've got a small boat and the wind gets up, they'll go to the wind side just to give them protection. And they put them into the middle of the channel. And then our border force go in and they actually take them out of their boats. So the smaller boat, the rigid inflatable, that's seen, what they do is they come up side by side with the small boats, empty the people into that, as many as they can, and then put them onto the bigger boats that we see them bringing them into the harbour just down the road there. But they do that to try to protect it so the public can't see it, and the public can't get anywhere near it, apart from this vantage point on the hillside. Now, farcical. Absolutely farcical. So, apparently, the French will put drones up, they put aircraft up, planes and helicopters, to identify to the British where these boats are. And we'll go and bring them in. And that's where the fun starts. So then I went up to the area overlooking the harbour, the vantage point. The footage I'll show you now. And it was just as I arrived, there was a boat had pulled in. What you can see behind me, this is the second part of the port in Dover. I'll get some zoomed in footage later on, but there's a border force boat just came in with about 30 odd, 52 illegal immigrants. I've just been down to the harbour, I got tipped off there was a boat coming in. I've come up to this vantage point because the busy harbour where the RNLI is, where you think they would come in, is they've stopped using that. I'm now trying to bring them in here because it's more discreet. And this is the first boat in today, 52 on it, and there's at least one more coming. Started unloading passengers. And there was, let me just think now, 60 odd on the first one, and 80 odd on the second one. So I was about 150, the first two boats. But the first two boats had come in, dropped off passengers, and went back out to get more. And it hadn't even turned 9 o'clock. But I've got a bit of footage with that I'll show you in a minute. I couldn't cope, right? And then I went back down to the harbour just to see what else I could find out. And again, I spoke to a guy with great nautical experience. And I said, look, I've been up there in the space of an hour. 150 people have come in. One had 80 odd, one had 60 odd. So how many boats are they picking to fill this? No, that's one inflatable. So that one inflatable between those two first ones were averaging 75 people per boat. And I asked them, you're a very knowledgeable seaman. How many would you put safely on those boats? And he said 0, because I've seen them. And what he told me was, he told me about I was gobsmacked. I can't remember how, but he was in close proximity to one. And he said the boat was full of men. And in the empty boat, once they'd all vacated, there was empty condom wrappers. Now, I don't think they were having sex out in that channel out there, right, in a boat with 75 people. I doubt that very much. I thought, well, what is it they're putting in the condoms to maybe swallow or other cavities? And I don't know. Is it a way of paying for the travel? Is this kind of what's going on here? I don't know, and I don't want to make assumptions, but it's either documents they're maybe hiding or contraband or other illegal things. And possibly, when I've seen videos, you see people and they ask them about how much it's cost them to come across and where they get the money, they kind of start laughing a bit. So I kind of think that's maybe what's going on here. But bonkers. So then I left him, I went back up to the vantage point, and the people that were there recording it, I saw the fourth boat of the day come in, and that was before 2 o'clock. And the number by 2 o'clock was 250. And I thought, well, that's a snapshot of a day. Guys that were still up there were saying they might be there till 8, 10 o'clock, and they explained to me things that were above my pay grade. I kind of didn't realise. What they were saying is some of them enter the sea by coming down rivers, so that they don't jump on the boat at the beach. They jump the boats away upriver, upstream. And the ones that come out the stream and the ones that come onto the beach, they need different tides, high tide or low tide. So this could go on for hours tonight. But they reckon, and they've got GPS things with all the boats moving about out there, apps, etc. And they were like, well, there's obviously one there because that's a French boat, so he's bringing them out to and so they're following them out, and then they hand them over to the UK border force. So they're like, yeah, it could be quite a time, because they're saying, well, the window that you've got, apparently when you leave for the beach, you've only got an hour or two either side of whatever the tide is. But when it's coming out the river, you've got more. So, there's quite a big window of when these people can leave. And it's just bonkers. And it's all organised. It's all pre-planned. They know, it's a game that they play between the French and the British border forces. And I mean, it's a lovely day today. So I would imagine as safe crossings go, it's probably one of the best, but that could change. And then I'd heard these rumours that, I think it was yesterday or the day before, there was a migrant taking out a boat. I mean, it's taking out the boat, he'd stabbed once. Now, I heard this as a possible, and I heard it was one. And it turns out the intelligence guys that I'm talking to, the intelligent guys I was talking to that know this far more than me, are suggesting it was 3. And then there's another school of thought, well, did he go into the boat injured to get him here so that he could get free medical attention here, or did he stabbed in the boat? They reckon it's probably in the boat. What I want to try and find out tomorrow is, how's this happening? What's going on? And I kind of want to speak to, well, I want to speak to tomorrow. I want to put some people in front of camera. Now, the 3 or 4 people I spoke to today all had very genuine, valid reasons. And when they told me the reasons, I wouldn't have, expected them to go on camera. But I want to speak to normal people in this community. I did plan to do this today, but my head's fried with this. So try and do that tomorrow. I want to try and talk to people in the local communities, because this isn't just Dover, it's affected. It's widespread right along the coast. But the other thing that's interesting, and I'll try and look into this tomorrow, maybe try and meet some HGV drivers, because there's a big truck terminal along there. Remember before the small boat started being a thing? We all heard stories, and it was stowaway type things. Well, I was talking to people today, and I was like, well, what happened to the stowaways? Like, nothing's happened to the stowaways. That's still a thing. But nobody's talking about that. So what is the numbers? We get numbers, but we get numbers of the people that are in the middle of the channel that get taken back by their own border force. We still have boats just arriving randomly, not the same numbers as years ago, but there are still boats that will randomly, small boats will make their way across. But this stowaway thing is still a thing. So when we get these numbers, we go, there was 996 yesterday. Yeah, that's ones that were picked out to sea, not ones that successfully made it clandestinely, or ones that have come in, stown away in cars and trucks and vans. So I'm still trying to process what I saw today, what I learned today. And it's absolutely bonkers. So anyway, I made a few clips while I was up at the vantage point and stuff, so I'll let you watch these just now. Tell me what you think. I'm going to take a wee wander down to other parts of the town and tell you more of the stories that people are going to share with me. Some people, good people, want their stories out, but for one reason or another, they don't want to put their face in camera. And I totally respect that, and I totally understand why, because of the reasons I've gave me. But this is not the story the mainstream media are telling you. Far from it. What's happening now, the first boat, which I was wrong, some nice people beside me have corrected me. There was actually 82 on the first boat, which if you just look behind that tree, let me just lift it up. Yeah, the one that's gone out the harbour had 82 on it, and that's just went out. It's dropped all the immigrants in this tent. They're getting processed. There's a bus there waiting to take them up, probably up to Marston, and there's another one coming in, probably half an hour after the first one. And the first one, he's away out in his second shift of the day. This is chaos. This is just worse than you can. I mean, I'm getting stories from people all round about me who, are not going to go on camera. But once I get back to the hotel tonight, I don't want to miss footage. I'll tell you all the stories that I'm hearing today, because this is farcical and this is all pre-planned. And this has got to stop. So what's happening now, probably not make it out with this camera, but they're now coming off the second boat and they'll probably get into that white roof you can see and get processed. I can't make it out with this camera, but there's people here with proper professional level cameras and they're able to count them as they're coming off. And this is insane. I'm standing with good people just now who can't go on camera for good reason. Just tell me stories that I can't actually comprehend just now what's actually going on here. But once I get settled down a wee bit and compose myself, I'll do a wee piece to camera explaining some of the nonsense that's going on in this place. And it's been going on for 6 years. It's not just yesterday. And the other thing that I find strange is, previously, what we all heard of was over here, to the left. That's where the RNLI pier is. Over here, where the P&O terminal is. The trucks. We don't hear about the trucks anymore. But I have got it in good authority But that problem is still going. But the new story is these people coming in the small boats. But these trucks here are still bringing people in. But they are not dependent on weather. But the small boats need almost perfect calm weather or they can't get anywhere near the channel. However, those big boats, which bring the trucks over, and the Eurotunnel, they don't need the calm weather. So it's going on every day. But now we're conditioned to think it's only the small boat people. And it's not. The whole thing is stinking. So there we go, folks. I've learnt loads, and I'm still none the wiser. This is just I'm kind of I can't process it. It's so mental. But if you enjoyed the video, hit the like, put some comments below, and share it with your friends. If you've not already done so, subscribe to the channel, hit the notifications bell, and you'll get told when I put another video out. But most important of all, unless you're the type of person that's coming into this country totally illegally, and we're helping, we're making it happen out there. And not you, but everyone else. Have a great day. Cheery bye now. Hi there, welcome to a special edition of my 10-minute morning. This one will take more than 10 minutes to tell the story. Today, I travelled to Calais. After yesterday seeing what happens when these people arrive, I wanted to see from my own eyes what happens before they get here. It's incredible the things that I noticed. It's incredible the things that I took footage of. But if you only watch one section of this, watch what I find. Rural countryside in France, and it will shock you, the pure numbers involved in what I see today. Hi there, welcome to the latest episode of my road trip. And today, I'm just leaving Blythe, heading towards Folkestone, continue on to Dover, jump in a boat, go over there. That is where the action really is. That's where I'll learn more about what's going on than probably anywhere else. Yesterday was phenomenal in Dover, but I kind of think I need to go there. It would be ridiculous to come down all this way and not go an hour and a half on a ferry to see the root of the problem and where all the action starts. Now, a lot of people I've spoke to yesterday who know this game far more than me, they've been at it for years. One of them a very experienced seaman and another one an observer of the migrant crisis. Told me that just now it is a bit dangerous over there. There's been shootings, there's been stabbings, there's been people even attacked on the boats. There seems to be a little bit of a sort of tough war going on with the people that control who goes and who doesn't go on the dinghies. So I believe it is dangerous. However, there's been a lot of people concerned about me on the videos saying, look after yourself, be safe. Well, yeah, that's the default setting for anybody, is to be safe. I do plan to be safe, but I'm making a calculated judgment here that I'll not be putting myself in any ridiculously, I'm not going to be walking into forests and things like that. So I did see Patrick Christie's coverage of that. GB News was done a phenomenal journalism there, but I believe he had security guards with him. He had a cameraman with him. I should have noticed. As a solo, I'm flying solo on this road trip. So there are dangers, but I think, keep my wits about me. Don't do anything too stupid. I just want to find out the story. I want to find out more about what's actually going on over there, because what I'm finding out in this trip so far is it's a bit mental. The whole thing is just crazy. It doesn't make sense. You think, well, why would you have a border but not really have a border? Why would you have a border force and not push anybody back? You actually just bring them in. Why would you have a deficit as a country each year but pay billions to bring people here and you don't know who they are? The whole thing's bonkers. And I want to get a better handle on why it's happening. Who are these people? Why have they got to come from all over the world and apparently pay money that we're led to believe, although yesterday's video we considered that some of them might not be paying. They might have their pay, they might pay it back in other ways. So there's a lot of things I want to do, and I just want to be there. I kind of thought I had a good handle on what's going on in these illegal immigrant things. But I kind of don't. Yesterday blew me away, and I'm expecting more of the same. Oh, sorry, boss. Thank you. I'm expecting more of the same. And this, I'm in and out Dover today. Sorry, Calais today. I'm going in the first ferry. It's 6:30 just now. I'll be on, I think it's 8 o'clock ferry. There is an hour and a half to travel, and we've got an hour's time difference at this time of year. So, I'll get, a right good day over here to go to Calais is where I'll be heading. I believe there's some places just outside Calais, Gravelines or Gravelines, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. Apparently a bit of high of activity, so try and get some time up there. Also, I'm going to try and find out. Yesterday, the penny dropped to me that for years we spoke about the stowaways on the trucks and things going on the ferries. And we've kind of stopped talking about that. It's as if the problem doesn't exist anymore. Well, it does exist. Because it's not stopped. It's never stopped. And what we're doing now is we're counting the small bulk people. So we're sort of saying to people, look over here, there's a story over here, and completely ignoring the other story, which might actually be bigger, which is the stowaways, and the numbers recorded are only the ones who we've picked up. Are there still people coming over who are not getting picked up, maybe coming through darkness, the cover of darkness? So yeah, I want to speak to some French people. I didn't get to do that yesterday. I was so in awe with the things I was learning. I didn't get to speak to the locals to see what sort of effect that's got on them. I'm kind of keen to do that. So, let's see what today brings. Got a full day at this over in Calais, Gravelines or Gravelines, whatever it's called. And I hope I can find out more and uncover some things that you and I didn't know before I set off on this journey. So thanks very much. I've arrived in Dover. It's been a while since I was here. I think it's over 30 years. The last time I was here as a teenager, just approaching my 20s, where I'd done a tour of Europe. We started here, getting a ferry over to France. And it's absolutely massive, right? But yesterday, when I was looking over the port, I was kind of saying, well, what's happened to the stowaways? Because we don't hear about it anymore. And it's the amount of trucks, the amount of haulage that's here. It is absolutely phenomenal, right? And I don't know why. I mean, I was up in the hill up there yesterday and I could see this. But until I've actually came into it, and this is what, 7 o'clock in the morning? This will be constant all day with this amount of trucks. I mean, the drive in here, once you go by French border control, first thing you do, the French girl checked my passport. Then I went to the check-in for P&O, and it's just line after line after line of trucks. And I'm going, I think this is probably a bigger problem than we know, because nobody talks about it anymore. So hopefully, when I'm on the ferry, I'm going to see if I can find some English-speaking hauliers, because There's a lot of trucks here. They're not all British. But, you can see with the logos and things on them, the signs, that there's a lot for all over Europe. So I'm open to speak to a driver or two just to try and get through the horse's mouth. Is this still a problem? Because I wasn't expecting this. When I left Glasgow 2 days ago, I was kind of thinking it's the boats, and the boats is a problem. We've covered that in this different video. But I need to try and sniff about this more, because this is something we just don't hear about. We've not heard about it for years. And it's impossible for us not to still be a route into the country for illegal migration. So yeah, fingers crossed I can get to speak to some truck drivers here. Also, when I finish sniffing about during the day, I'll maybe go to the port, obviously at some point on tonight, and see if I can speak to some of the drivers there. It's amazing that it's just because 90% of the stuff that gets driven by the media and nobody's talking about it now, but I'll talk about it. I literally just came off the boat, right? And I thought, I'll take me a wee bit of time to get my bearings, see what's what. So I'll just head to the town centre, and I'm literally off the motorway 2 minutes, and I'm seeing, if you look over here, I'm just going to need to turn my camera around. Can I do this while I can't do it while I'm filming. I'll take some more footage and I'll overlay it. Across the river from me, there's tents just lying out. There's groups of guys hanging about under, see that bridge? I'll zoom in, I'll get some more footage once I've stopped recording here. Get the clothes out. It's just immigrants everywhere. This is going to be some trip. I'm literally 5-10 minutes out the port, thinking it'll take me a while to start seeing signs of, the difference that these communities are facing with the migrants. And bang, it's there in front of me. Right, so there's some working guys here who I've came across the road. That's my first stop, right? And I've just said, look, do you speak English? Yeah, one of them half decent English. And I was like, is this normal? Is this like everywhere? Yeah, this is how life is for us now. Honestly, they're just like putting tents up. It's like, you've seen it? It's like a middle of residential area. It's like a sort of place that you would enjoy walking down the river with your family. And they just pitch up, put some tents, live beside the river. And it's just, this is some start to my day, honestly. I didn't expect to come across evidence of this invasion to these people. I mean, this is a beautiful, beautiful town. I'm just driving through thinking it's like typical sort of what you would see, Second World War films coming here liberating France. And just tents and putting the washing out, and it's not good for the residents here, right? It's not a great place, but it's not great for them either. Nobody wants to live like that, but they're doing it. And I don't know why, but I thought this is going to be a difficult task, finding evidence of the impact it's having in communities. I literally just drove into the place, and these guys are just like, yeah, it's normal. They're everywhere. Unbelievable. So 10-15 minutes here, and yet another remarkable monument. The something that I love about the UK is every area, every town, every village commemorates its war dead. But as you can see, the flags behind me, they don't only have, can't see the French one, it's right behind the monument, but they have the Canadian and the British flag, obviously to show respect and thanks for all those who helped liberate this area back in the Second World War, and indeed the war was not far from here in 1914 to 18, and indeed both wars are commemorated on this statue. I must say, I've been in France for probably half an hour, and I love the fact that they are proud of their nation. They're allowed to celebrate it. There's French flags and loads of different shops and businesses that have passed already, and I like that. And that's why I want to find out what effect immigrants are having in this local area. This is a small town just south of Calais. The beach is just here, sand dunes, and I guarantee you they'll be affected by the invasion of immigrants they have who are trying to make their way across into the UK. So we're on the beach just now, and the information I have in the cover of darkness, some of the migrant boats leave these very beaches. And what they do is, further along the coast either way, there's lots of dunes, and they like to hide in the dunes, wait for the right sea level, and set off from here. And as you can see, just out here just now, if I turn that round, you'll see the ferries. So that's the ferry channel, and they turn round and they'll depart. Very small beaches like this, very uninhabited. I'm just outside Calais just now to the south. Lovely little town, but at night it becomes, from what I've been told, a very different place, where this place can become potentially quite a violent problem, with recent problems where the opposing gangs are having fights about who's getting on boats, who's not getting on boats, and who should control the boats. And that'll be happening in little towns like this. Lovely wee peaceful place, you would never be aware of it, but under the cover of darkness tells a very different story. Where we are just now, this is us just outside gravel lines or gravellines, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. We're in a heavy industrial area. Now between it and the sea, these are sand dunes that you see. And they lead to the ocean, the channel, then on to the dinghies. So what will be happening quite soon tonight, and I'll try and catch it, is these sand dunes, the cover it gives, will be full of migrants. And the reason that they're not here just now is very simple. The water conditions are not good enough. There's a river just over that dune over there, and the dinghies come down there, go to the beach, these guys jump on them. But right now, the river is low because the tide is out. But this is how they get there. Now before we move on to the next part, I just want to explain to you. I had travelled around for not that long, not that big an area in the footage that you've just seen. However, I was just about to give up for the night. I was just about to go and check into my hotel and get myself sorted for my journey home early tomorrow morning. And then a turned a corner, and what I seen just blew my mind. And I thought, the number of people here, yet there was no tents. So I thought, well, where did they sleep? And then I started part 2 of my journey. And what I found wasn't a big, massive tented village. What I found was numerous small tented villages. Almost every time you turned a corner in that rural setting, you came by another one with maybe 5, 6 temporary tents, some normal tents. One, I never seen any people, but you've seen the clothes out. There are obviously a number of them staying in those forests as well. And it's not far off the road. One of them, I was passing in a dual carriageway, and the sights I'm about to show you, I seen from my own eyes, and they shocked me and rocked me to the core, for the simple reason, the numbers that must be here waiting to come into our country frightened the life out of me. And what I'm about to show you is all within 1 to 2 mile radius of the massive group that I seen receiving aid that made me go in a circumference round it. And if this doesn't shock you, nothing will. So that was my day. I hope you like what I produced for you. I came here myself. I've not got a team of bodyguards like some other people have came and they've been mob-handed. So I was going to go into these places myself with my car handy, and it wasn't going to happen. But the footage I was able to get absolutely shocked me as I was filming it. The biggest shock when I turned around that corner, genuinely turned around a corner and just saw 500, maybe. I went back later on, and the ones we'd all left. And guess what? There was more, another 500. And I just think, with the numbers that I've seen today, in a small section now, something else I need to share with you. I stopped and talked to some police officers in a little village just south of Calais, and I asked them, what is it really like? Where are all the people? And on this map, you'll see from that village there in the north to that one there in the south, it's about 45 miles. 45 miles of coastline of almost constant small camps and asylum seekers, illegal immigrants, whatever you want to call them. That's like driving from Glasgow to Edinburgh. And right along that distance, there's people close to the beaches, close to the rivers, trying to get in to our country. And the vast majority of them will get there. The numbers it's impossible for the numbers that we're getting reported to be anywhere near what I believe to be common sense and logical. And that's the biggest crime. Yesterday, we spoke about the things that our government are doing in our NGOs, etc., our establishment, to actually bring these people here. There's no effort to stop. And there's more ready to come. And it's given me the fear of God. We need to solve this, and we need to solve it quick. Because if a portion of the people I've seen today, and that's replicated in a 45-mile stretch, that was only about a mile of it, then God help us. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Hit the share. And put some comments below. If you've not already done so, please subscribe and hit the notifications bell for the channel. However, the most important thing of all, unless you are one of the must be thousands a 45-mile stretch wanting to come to our country illegally, then no you. But everyone else, have a great day. Cheery bye now. Hi there, welcome to the latest episode of my 10-minute moan, and I'm reporting from beautiful sunny day in the beautiful city of Calais. Behind me here is what was described to me by a French woman who couldn't speak much English as la mairie. So I'm quite think that's where the mayor has his offices, and therefore the city chambers or town hall, whatever they call it here. So, bit of an update. I'm going to cover a wee bit of an update now that I've come back to Calais from what I seen 24 hours ago. There's been some crazy developments. And also to show you the my first appearance on GB News, where Martin Dobney had me on live around about 3:30 UK time today. So the first thing, in the video I done yesterday, you remember me talking about the river, where there was 3 or 4 tents were there, and I was only 2 minutes in Calais. It was right in the middle of this beautiful city's centre, and I thought, this is bonkers. I thought I'd spend all day trying to find camps or migrant tents, etc., and I found one within 2 minutes, and it just blew my mind. So I didn't come here to do that today. I came here to go to a hotel where I'd done the live for GB News. So I was passing it, and guess what? There's even more. Now the one bit in the river, there's the river comes down and then it forks, and there's like a triangle of embankments. And where there was 3 tents yesterday, there's now about a dozen. Where there was none but some washing out underneath the bridge, there's now about 3 or 4 tents. And even at the side that I took my recording from yesterday, there's about 3 or 4 tents there. So I tried to film there, and this is what happened. This is a river that I'm talking about, and where that metal fence is, and you'll see there's a lamppost right in the middle of the camera just now, there's a drop of about 8 feet there, down to the sort of river level. And there's 3-4 tents there that weren't there yesterday, so I popped over to get some footage of it, and there was a group of boys, probably, well, maybe 30, early 40s, looked up, didn't look too pleased that I was there, so I thought it was probably best not to pull my camera out at that point. But this is just what's going on right in the centre of Calais, and it's, when I was here yesterday, there was 3 tents in this triangle. Now, there's more than a dozen, overnight. So you can see, there's pros and cons of being out here doing this yourself. One is you've got no backup, so when you get into a sort of iffy situation, you're as well just retreating. There's no point in being a dead Craig Houston. However, what I did manage to film is, as you can see, the bit of the triangles that had 3 or 4 tents yesterday. Look at them. There's 12. About 12. And underneath the bridge, where it was a bit more difficult to get footage, there's 3 or 4. And on the bit I was standing at, there's another 3 or 4. So I went in 24 hours from 3 or 4 tents to a wee mini camp all in itself. And it's kind of bonkers that the place could change that quick. The whole structure of this city. I tried to speak to a resident who didn't speak very much English, but she did say it just comes and goes, sometimes 0, sometimes 20. And I thought that must be horrific to be living in this society. And there was an instant when I was coming through the town centre. There's a big bus terminus just over here, and I was sat at traffic lights with my camera mounted on the windscreen, and I hit record. There was a guy being pestered for cigarettes and what looked like migrants, but I thought he'd a child with him, so I've not used the local guy, so I've not used that footage. I thought that, it's just daft things like that. Now, I don't know if the crimes went up or whatever, but the community here, living in this beautiful place, must feel unsettled with this sort of stuff. And the boys that I spoke to yesterday out near the large camps that I found, they were saying they don't see any problems with sort of house burglaries and stuff like that, but the locals just don't go near them, because if you go near, they kind of better just keep them apart. But when you get so much of their countryside overrun by immigrants, that's kind of difficult. But the young boys I spoke to were late teens, early 20s, and they were saying that it can be a bit difficult, so just don't go near them. And they saw my car, and they said, "You have a nice car, don't stop, don't even stop." So when you're affecting community, I'm very much a, community-based sort of guy, and whatever your community is, I believe that, as long as it's not causing anybody else grief, you should be able to enjoy your community. And I feel sorry for the communities here that are getting affected by this, which is another moving target. Yesterday 3 or 4, today over a dozen. And right in the city centre, a beautiful little sort of walkway. You would imagine spending a nice day on a Sunday walking down there with the kids and the bikes and all that sort of stuff. Well, you kind of probably wouldn't if you pretend. And I don't know how many's in a tent, but you've got to think at least 2, maybe as much as 4. So you're talking about up to maybe 50 men, because I didn't see any females staying in close proximity to some really nice residential properties. So it was a bit bonkers. Now, I got a message this morning from Martin Dobney of GB News. He'd been kind enough somebody had sent him my stuff. Basil on Twitter had sent him my stuff and had sent him my contact details and invited me on to GB News this afternoon, which was great. It was a great experience. I'm humbled and honoured that he let me on it. The experience was fantastic, and the opportunity to reach their audience was gratefully received, because there's not many in the mainstream give folk like me who are basically YouTubers, or I don't call myself a citizen journalist, but some do, and refer to themselves as that, podcasters, some even influencers. I don't use that language. I'm just me with a camera. And a lot of mainstream don't give us any time of day. So I'll be eternally grateful for that opportunity from Martin. And I'll just share with you how that live interview went. I enjoyed it. I hope you do too.
Now, UK and French authorities are braced for an increase in small boat arrivals with largely good weather in the Channel over the coming fortnight. Now, a senior maritime source said a string of so-called red days might easily see several thousand immigrants make the illegal journey, with the number of arrivals expected to reach 20,000 in the next fortnight. Well, let's now speak with the podcast host and the leader of the Social Democratic Party in Scotland. Craig Houston joins me. He's live in Calais. Welcome to the show, Craig. Pleasure to have your company. You sent me through some astonishing footage earlier on. You've been down there by the illegal migrant camps. You've been in and amongst it. Tell us what you've been seeing.
It's chaos, Martin, absolute chaos. I started off in Dover 2 days ago and seen the amount of coming in through one source, which was the border force picking them up out of the sea. I then noticed that the boats, the ferries are still running, but nobody's talking about stowaways. So I'm curious to find out, and I will be looking more into that. So I then got a ferry over on Wednesday morning, and started driving around Calais, Dunkirk area. And it was just crazy. I arrived in Calais, I went straight to the town centre, and the first thing I found within 2 minutes was a mini camp set up in the middle of a residential area in a lovely canal setting. And I was just astonished. I then drove up towards Dunkirk, and halfway there, I saw a lot of people heading towards an area, and I was curious to find out what was there. And the pictures you're showing just now is what I found when I got there. And then there was no tents there. So I thought, where do these people sleep? So I started driving round about a sort of mile radius from that position there, and I started finding very small camps, 5 to 10 tents each, almost everywhere, scattered over the country. I spoke to police there. I went south of Calais. I spoke to police down there. I asked them where the migrants were, and they said everywhere between Boulogne and Dunkirk, and almost up to the Belgian border. Now, that's about 50 miles as a crow flies. I'm not sure how many miles the way a coast goes. But when you've got these things spread across that massive mileage, it sort of concerns me as to where are they all going. I know where they're all trying to come, and that's to our shores. And it just concerns me about the actual official figures, if they're right. I know the ones coming in through Border Force that are picking up the ocean are right, because I was there when there was people counting them. But I'm just concerned now. My next task is to find out what the level of stowaways and the dinghies that are not catching that are coming under the cover of darkness. So, yeah, it's been an interesting couple of days, Martin, and thank you very much for allowing me this experience.
A pleasure, mate. And Craig, I tell you what, you mentioned something else that sent a chill down my spine. You say you have information that the people smugglers are also using people coming over illegally to ferry drugs into Britain. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, it's a big claim. I spoke to a man who works at the port. I'll not give away his job because he kind of needs his job, but he has been out in the waters. He has seen recovered dinghies, and what he told me was there were scatterings of used condom wrappers on the floor, dozens of them. Now, I kind of think 70 or 80 men on these boats, I don't think they were having a mad party. So what were they doing with these things? The only thing I can think of is using it to conceal something to put into their orifices. So that was, do you know what made me think about this, Martin? There was an interview I saw today in GB News, Good Morning, and they were asking this migrant, how did you pay for the trip? Now, some of them tell you quite easily how much and how they paid for it, and some are a bit, well, my parents paid it and I don't really know, and it was transferred from a village, and all these sort of grey answers. I kind of think I now have an option in what's happening here, and they're not paying at all. Some of them might be doing jobs in lieu of payment, and that's another scary thing.
And do you know what? It would absolutely make sense. They know no compassion. They know every depravity to get people to become living drug mules who don't pay a fee for their carriage, and yet they are carrying a cargo heaven knows where inside them. I wonder how routinely and how methodically they are searched when they get to Dover? I would say probably not that much. Craig Houston, it's fascinating footage. Thank you so much for sharing it with us exclusively on GB News. And you've got a great YouTube channel. Get on that. That is Craig Houston, the leader of the Social Democratic Party in Scotland and a great citizen journalist. Marvellous.
So there we go. It's been an eventful now 3 days. I had a day in Dover. I had 2 days over here. Half a day in Calais yesterday, then the rest of the day up near Dunkirk, in a place called Gravelines, I think is how you pronounce it. Gravelines is how it spells, but Gravelines, I believe, is how you say it. And then, as I say, coming back down here today, bit bonkers. I also forgot when I was coming back through Gravelines today, the same stretch that I seen most of the footage yesterday, where the big chunk of people were getting some sort of aid. There's about a mile and a half's walk up to a supermarket, and there was continuous all day folk going up and down. I was on that road again, and look what I saw. A guy with a life jacket was walking down the road, and then there was folk behind them with they weren't Sports Direct bags, but you know the type, the big thingy ones. I believe it's Intersport they have over here, and there's one of them down near the supermarket, and there was a few boys with them that were just, looked crammed. So I'm taking it that was also life jackets. So obviously there's a boat heading off for that area pretty soon, if not tonight, maybe tomorrow morning early doors. So it's been a fantastic experience, a harrowing experience, melted my head experience. But I hope you guys have enjoyed it, because I've supported the channel fantastically. And now I just need to try and recoup the expenses doing this trip. So I'm not going to put the begging bowl out, but what I will do is actually, yes, I get monetised from YouTube, and they pay me when people watch adverts. So please hit the like, hit the share, and put some comments below, and that drive into more people's timelines, and hopefully I get enough views to recoup the money I'm out of pocket. That would be quite nice. But if you've not already done so, please subscribe to the channel and hit the notifications bell. But the most important thing, unless you're the type of person that wants to come into neighbourhoods and communities like this and have detrimental effect on those communities, and the people who are allowing it to happen and maybe possibly managing it to make it happen, then not you, but everyone else. I don't know what it means in French, but have a great day. Au revoir now.
Hi there, welcome to the latest episode of my 10-minute moan. And the topic of this 10-minute moan is something that was most peculiar that I witnessed coming back from Calais on the ferry late Thursday evening. So to give you a wee bit of background to this, I was on a trip, went to Dover, Calais, Dunkirk, just to look for some footage about the migrant crisis that most people are aware of. And it was fascinating. I'm sure people that are watching the video have seen many of my videos that I've done. I think I've put out 4 or 5 already about the trip when I was in Dover, Calais and Dunkirk. However, something very strange happened when I was on the boat coming home. Now, when I was on the boat going out, for those who have not been in a ferry, the cars go in one level and the big HGVs and buses go in another. So you're getting what's called the car deck. Then you get out your car, you go up the stairs, and you can walk about shops, bars, restaurants for the hour and a half duration of the journey. And there was nothing stand out weird about it. I would say, probably guess, 80% of the people on the deck were British, maybe going across to Europe, going across the continent, and maybe about 20% were non-British. Tourists, some of them I was talking to. There was a couple from Australia who had spent a lot of time in the UK. They were going across for a few days in France, coming back to the UK and going home after 6 weeks. And there was a lot of that. I also spoke to a Mexican family. There was about 5 of them, mum, dad, 2 girls and a little boy. And they were getting pictures taken at the side of the boat, overlooking as we came into Calais. Had a wee chat with them, took a photo of them from their own camera and things. So I would guess about 80% were British people going out the way and 20% foreigners either going home or continuing journeys throughout Europe. That's kind of what you see. However, that's not what I seen on the way back. Now, on the way back, I was kind of tired. I'd been on the go for a while. I wanted to do some editing on my laptop while I was on the journey. There's not much to see. It's pitch black. I thought, right, I'll get in, get my laptop, and there's Wi-Fi, decent Wi-Fi on the ferry, and I'll do a bit of work. So I sat down, got a nice coffee table on a swivel seat, really comfy, got my laptop plugged into a socket, picked up the Wi-Fi, and done about half an hour, 45 minutes of work. Totally oblivious to what was going on round about me. Then I got a phone call off a pal of mine. I stopped working, packed my stuff away, have a blather on WhatsApp. I was able to get me on WhatsApp because of the Wi-Fi. I had a wee chat. And I kind of looked round and I thought, well, that's weird. I was in a section of the lounge which probably maybe about 6 or 8 of these areas scattered throughout the boat. And I thought, I think I'm the only British person here. But there was a couple further up. And I looked round and from about 17 people that were in that area, there was 3 British people. And it felt very different to the journey out. So I had about half an hour left of the journey, and I walked round in a big circle, the rest of the bars, areas and stuff. And it was similar, not identical, but similar throughout the whole boat deck. I thought, well, how come the ratio's so different? Not just a little bit different, evidently, obviously different. And this isn't the point of the video, by the way. The point of the video is a bit even weirder than that's right. So I thought, how can there be a higher ratio of people coming into UK than going out? Because if we're going there for a 5-day holiday and you're coming here for a 5-day holiday, we all need to go back. So you would imagine that you would get a similar ratio of people, regardless of the day you were going and regardless of the time of the boat, right? It would be like normal. Or, at least, maybe 5-10% of a difference. But this was a massive difference. Really significant difference. The British people, and when I was not sure, I would walk up closely and I would hear them talking and go, well, actually Ukrainian or Russian, but it sounds odd because I'm not speaking English. So it was really, really bizarre. But what happened next got even more bizarre. Because as I was sitting waiting for it to come into port and go back down, sit in the car, you can't sit in your car while it's out at sea. And everybody else was getting themselves packed up. I thought, hold on a minute. When I was at customs on the France side, which is oddly enough checked by British people and vice versa, you get your passport checked by the French on Dover, by the British in Calais. So when I was sitting there, I was very early for the for the boat, and actually at one point thought it was in the wrong queue, because there was 2 vans in front of me, and on the next lane there was 4 vehicles. One of them was a Ford Mustang in a lovely blue colour, and the other 3 were Transit Sprinter type vans. So they were taking ages, right? And I looked at it, was like foreign number plates, all the vans. The only other British number plate was a guy in the blue Mustang. And I actually thought, am I in the wrong lane? Is there maybe a minibus lane or a smaller van lane? Because I've got a lane just for buses and a lane for HGVs and one for cars and bikes, etc. So I kind of looked up at the sign. I thought, no, I'm in the right lane. It does both cars and vans, small vans. I thought, that's a bit weird. There's so many of a ratio of vans. Didn't give it another thought. As I say, halfway across the water, when I started looking about, I thought, God damn, many British people here. I thought, well, that was weird as well with about the vans, so what's going on? So any tannoy went out to allow you to go back downstairs. I took this video I'm about to share with you, and it kind of blew my mind. So I'm going to let you watch the video first, and then tell you my concerns and what's maybe going to happen. And what I've done, I've went through it as closely as I can, and I've put a scoreboard up the top left-hand corner where I've counted a car or a van as I walked round the boat. So it's only a wee 60-second video, so just bear with me. I'll get this started. You can see if this appears odd to you, as odd it appears to me. Right, how bizarre is that? So we had Rapkit, now maybe one or two out either way, right, I'm perfectly accept that, but on the way out of Britain and into France, it wasn't noticeable. There was maybe 10%. There was a couple, I fancy a motorhome, so I keep saying motorhomes, and there was a couple of motorhomes in the way out of the UK. But it wasn't like an unusually high figure that I thought, that's a bit weird. But 25 vans out of 39 vehicles. That's not far off 2/3. Now, not only is that peculiar, out of all those vans, now you don't see it as easy in the video, but I was looking as I was filming. I wasn't looking the way I was filming, I was looking all around me, paying attention. One of the vans had UK plates on it. So these are all foreign vans. All bar one of the vans had no livery on it, like you would have a business or a rental company with the decals. Only one. And that was a minibus right at the back of the second line. Another peculiar thing was there was about 5 of them had trailers, because the vans weren't big enough. And I thought, well, who goes on holiday with a trailer? I need a big family. But there was no big families. It was like between 2 and 5 people in each of these vehicles. And 2 of the vehicles with trailers, they weren't enclosed trailers. They were open trailers. And they had nothing in them. Because I've been speaking to people who live down the south coast, speaking to a guy today who lives down the south coast of England, and he stays in Folkestone, so he's used to seeing a lot of this. He says, I've noticed that before, a lot of vans, but I just thought it was maybe people over here with maybe a Polish or a Czech supermarket, and they maybe go and bring stuff back. So, well, these were empty. At least the ones I could see in. Other ones were enclosed, who knows? So that's really peculiar. So what's going on? Now, yeah, I'm perfectly accepting that it could just have been a real oddity. And there's nothing going on. It's just, I happened to be there on the day where it was the van day out, right? And all the other ferries are normal. I'm quite accepting that that could be true, but I wouldn't mind other people helping me here to maybe do this 2 or 3 times to see if there's a theme. That we've got a totally different demographic of people going one way and returning, i.e. British folk going on holiday, but non-British people maybe only doing the trip one way, and more likely coming from France over here. But what I am now, and I'm accepting that this is total, you know, I'm just like grabbing things. There's no anything other than a possibility here. But these people with these vans and trailers. Now, if you were going on holiday and you needed to take a van and your trailer was empty, I would probably think you'd leave the trailer in the house. 1, easy to drive. 2, less petrol, right? So I kind of don't know what they're doing. But what I think they might be doing is not going home. And what they might be doing is coming over here as a, we're going on holiday, and then just forgetting to go home. I can only guess that. I can't tell you to take that information to the bank. But one thing everybody knows who watches my videos is, this will not be the end of this. I will dig and dig and dig to see if this is another thing that I've unearthed from my trip, along with remember the condom wrappers on the boats? This might be the second. And I will be investigating this far more. If you get anything that you know about this weird phenomena, please contact me. However, if you enjoyed the video, thumbs up, put your comments below and hit the share button. If you've not already done so, please subscribe and hit the notifications bell, and YouTube will let you know when I put more videos out. The most important thing of all, unless you're the type of person that comes here on holiday and forgets to go home, not you, everyone else, have a great day. Jeannie, bye now.